Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to do a comparison video about lighting systems. If you're getting started with YouTube or just want photography at home, you'll need better lighting than what your standard ceiling lights will give you. We're going to compare a Neewer lighting system that comes with umbrellas versus a Excelvan system that comes with softboxes. Now, they both come with a key light and a side light. The difference is the third light in the Neewer system is going to be a backlight versus a top light for the Excelvan system. So we're going to go ahead and show you what they look like, give you some comparisons, get a sense of what they actually are like, and then we'll go ahead and do a little comparison shot side by side to show you what the lighting looks like, because there is a big difference in the wattage between the two. So let's begin with the Excelvan system. Here I have one of the lights set up, and we've detracted it obviously. It is a proper 8-foot light, and the system in general is a 2,000 watt system. So what that means is you will get the equivalent of 2,000 watts of incandescent light. These bulbs are CFL, which I'll show you in a second here. So when you get the math, you'll see that it's a 135 watt CFL bulb, which plus a softbox system times 3 gives you 2,000 watts of an incandescent light. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing these systems, because we got really excited when we originally saw 600 watts and we realized that it's not a true 600 watts in CFL terms. Remember that. So the actual stand that comes with the Excelvan system is pretty nice. It's a nice metal build. The one annoying thing is the latches that you'll use to detract and extend the pole, again to get it to 8 feet if you so desire, they are the kind where you have to twist and untwist to lock. That's a little bit annoying compared to what most other stands come with, so keep that in mind if that's a big source of annoyance for you. Now, once you get past the stand, you get to the softbox itself. And this entire hinge, this system right here, this is all softbox, so it's a very large thing. Obviously, when I turn this towards you, you can see it is a very large softbox, right? This is a huge amount of surface area, and right now we have the diffuser on top of it. If I get rid of the diffuser, which you will probably need if you're shooting indoors because it is a very, very bright light. You can see that it's a very nice reflective surface on the inside, complete with a 135 watt CFL bulb. Now that is a big CFL bulb. It is extremely bright, especially when it's inside this system. Now we're going to go ahead and switch from this to the top light system because that is extremely interesting how they've done it. So now we have the top light above me and it's fully lit, as you can see. We were using it earlier as well. And it comes in the exact same stand as the other one, so no difference there. They're fully interchangeable, which is great. The only addition we've put on is a nice balancing arm they've given us. Also metal. This part here is plastic, but it's a very thick plastic, which is nice. It has its lock here, as well as the counterbalance here. Now, we didn't have any counterbalance in our possession at the time, so we went to Orchard Supply and we got a very, very large box of pebbles that they gave to us, which was great of them. Pretty cheap, but it is something you'll have to do. So keep that in mind. It's not ready to plug and play in that sense. You do need at least something here. Now you could try sand, but it's a little bit too grainy maybe. You might get some spillage with that, so something like rocks is probably a better choice in all honesty. Now, we have this set not even close to full height, and it is hitting the top of our 8-foot ceiling, and this is obviously, you know, just a little bit under 5.5 feet probably. So this does get quite high, which is great. Unfortunately, we're rather limited in our current ceiling, so we can't make the most of that. But aside from that, that range is really great. Our one issue though is that the softbox has the switch as well as the start of the power cord, right? It's the standard softbox in all of them. There's no difference there as well. The problem is that that power cord is a little bit under 8 feet. So if this is set to 8 feet, it means that at best it's not going to make it to the ground if we were to bring it straight above my head, which obviously we're not going to do. So because we brought it at a diagonal, the power cord is a couple inches off the ground, which means that you kind of need it to get its own power source in a way, which is really annoying. That's really the biggest drawback we've seen to using this. But aside from that, it's really great because we're getting a nice even light all over me. It's 5500 Kelvin, which is the same as the Neewer system as well. But do keep that in mind that there are a few little technical difficulties to sort through when you do use the top light. So it's not super portable in that sense. You'll want to keep it in a stable place where you have power as well as the clearance space to maximize the most of it. Otherwise, you get in the situation where I'm 6 foot and there's not much space between me and this light. So the shots become a little bit limited in that sense. Aside from that though, it does a great job if you can play around with that. Okay, here we have two of the lights for our Neewer system. the Neewer system comes in at 600 watt equivalents. So what that means is there are 3 45 watt CFL bulbs, which is a third of the light of each of the Excelvan light bulbs, which are 135 watts. So that's a big start there. So when you factor in the difference between CFL and incandescent light, as well as the difference between using a softbox versus a shiny umbrella, which I'll show you in a second, that difference gets you to an equivalence of 600 watts. So please keep that in mind, because that number sounds really astounding, like, whoa, 600 watts, but that's 600 watts of incandescent light, which is useful for touching up shadows and things like that, but it is not super bright. And we'll show you a little bit later the difference, and you can make the decision whether it's worth it to you to get more light or less. But as far as the actual lights themselves, the stands are really great on the Neewer system. They're also metal construction, and they have the nice latch to just move this up and down very smoothly. Really like that about them. Much, much better than the Excelvan system, in my opinion. The backlight is only 36 inches, top to bottom. So this is as tall as it gets, and you can see that it's quite short, right? 3 feet, that's it. So a backlight does not need to be large because you are keeping it behind your subject in whatever you're doing, video or photography. It just seems strange that they wouldn't just give me the regular size light. Like, you may as well do it at that point in time, you know, let me choose. That way I have the interchangeability that I can move them around as I see fit, which is nice with the Excelvan, but unfortunately I'm kind of stuck with this little guy. But the nice thing is the bulb is attached to the stand at all times, and the difference is that the softbox holds the light in the Excelvan system. So it is a bit tricky that if you want to just take off the softbox, you have to be very careful because the bulb is still attached. You can very easily drop it, which would be a huge problem because 135 watt bulbs are not cheap, and they probably are a massive mess, which we haven't had to clean yet. So knock on wood there for us. Anyway, I'm going to move this one out of the way, right? And I'm going to bring up the regular stand light, and it is also of a great construction, much better than the Excelvan in my opinion, and this is a regular size one. So I'm way up here, and I can get even taller if I so choose this way, right? So now I'm at a proper 8-foot light, which is great. The one problem that I have though is that the umbrellas that they give you, right? You'll have 2 of the black with the reflective surface underneath, and 2 of the white, which we'll use as diffusers. They're pretty crap, in all honesty. Like, they're just not very good. For example, when I get this guy out, you can see that it is meant to have little bits of dents to hold a screw when you actually want to plug this guy in. The problem, though, is that sometimes you get little dents that aren't intentional, right? Just from screwing. And I'm not trying to, like, drill this through when I do this. I'm just lightly trying to do it, not too hard. And still I'm denting this metal. And actually, one of these, this little bottom thing that prevents it from just being jagged metal, just flat came out. Like, we weren't even touching it, just came out on its own, which was, you know, annoying. You can also see that you'll start to see little seams in the umbrella. Now, I'm not sure if this will be visible to the camera or not, but right here, behind where my hand is, there are little tears that have started here. And this happened without us damaging it in any way, in the sense that I didn't whack it when I was using it, we didn't drag it on the floor, anything like that. They just kind of came from general wear and tear, which we haven't had these for very long. We haven't used them very extensively. I don't think that's something that should be happening. The build quality on them in general is pretty disappointing, in all honesty. I really thought that these would be nicer. The one thing is that you can use the diffusers in both directions. So I'm going to bring down my light again. Right? I have the option of putting it both this way for whatever I want to use, as well as this way if I want to prevent light from coming in. So that's totally up to you, which is very nice about this. And as far as the reflective surface umbrella, you can see that's very similar to the Excelvan on the inside. Unfortunately, the same kind of build quality as far as the actual umbrella stand, as well as the little hinges here. Not that great. And I think this is, yeah, this is the one that just comes out. We didn't do that. It just happened, which is, you know, not great at all. I'm going to close that guy up. So that's the disappointing part. Stand is much better. Umbrella is not so great. Big difference in the light quality, light quantity and amount. So we're going to go ahead and set them up in the same spots, and we're going to give you 2 different shots of me. Sorry to disappoint if you want something else, but you'll just get to see what it looks like when we put them equidistant and how much brighter they are versus one or the other. We are in our completely dark office right now, We have light just from our camera taking some flash, basically. I have no idea what this looks like. I assume it's quite bad. We're going to go ahead and turn on our office light. Okay, so this is the office light with the flash still on, so at least there was some amount of light. So this is what you get when you don't have anything at all, which most of us are starting out with. We're going to go ahead and compare this setup versus the Neewer setup and the Excelvan system now. Now we have the Neewer light set up in our dark office. We have a key light and a side light, and we've put our backlight behind me, which hopefully is not visible. And we have the reflective surface on the key light as well as the diffuser on the side light. So that's the typical setup that we would use, because they're about the same distance from me, to get a distinct set of light on me or a subject if we're showing a product or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the office light now, and you can see the difference between the two. Now the light that you get is actually still quite good. We're not here to dispute that at all. But the difference will be that it should be a harsher light than what you will see momentarily in the Excelvan system. And it is a little bit more limited if you are in a worse situation. Right now we're in the middle of our office right now. So generally the light should be quite good because all the other lights are on with us and it should be solid. Now we're going to go ahead and switch to the Excelvan system and you'll get a better sense of what we mean in terms of the difference between the two. Okay, we've got the Excelvan light set up in the same spot, at least the key light and the side light, as we did the Neewer lights. We also have our top light now above me as opposed to the backlight which we had behind me previously. Our office lights are still turned off, so you can get a clear sense of what that looks like. We have the diffuser on all the lights because the reflection was so sharp, it was hard not to be overwhelmed by it, so we did go ahead and do that. So now we're going to turn on our office lights, and you're going to go ahead and see the difference there as well. And again, still much brighter with these lights versus the other ones. And while we realize that the products are different in the sense that they're at different price points, right? The Neewer lights right now are about $52 on Amazon versus the Excelvan lights, which are at about $75, I believe. The difference alone in getting from a 45 watt to 135 watt CFL bulb across the board, that alone to us is worth it. It's just so much brighter that it really compensates for a lot of needs that you may have. That price difference alone, by the way, will probably cost you close to $10 a light bulb, depending on where you're getting them from. As well as the fact that a top light to us is so much more valuable than a backlight. We really think that that's a great addition to everything. Obviously, you may have different needs than us, but we're in an office that doesn't have very good lighting on its own. The lights that we have are kind of poor in general, and we imagine that most of you are probably using it for similar conditions. I don't think there's a ton of you that are using it for outdoor purposes. Could be totally wrong, in which case you may want to reconsider. But if you're in a similar boat to us, really, really do consider putting in the extra dough to get the Excelvan lights. The softboxes are much better than the umbrellas as far as our practical purposes, and we think you'll find the same. So go ahead and comment if you have any questions, email us directly, like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, please, and if you didn't, dislike, but please let us know what we can do to make our videos better. We really will try to make them as great as we can. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.